Hey guys, it's Chris Jones. I am here for episode 5 of Ask Me Anything. Just a few minutes ago, I posted to my personal Facebook page asking you to participate in this Facebook Live. You guys are awesome. The questions started rolling in. I actually had to cut it because they were coming in so fast, but I will get back to any of the questions I don't answer right now. The cool thing about how I just prepared for this was that I only gave myself 10 or 15 minutes. I want these videos to be authentic. I want them to represent I think I'm at my best when I'm using my intuition, when I'm sort of shooting from the hip. With that said, thanks again for the questions. We're going to start off with Johnny Fallon. Johnny asks, hey Chris, you have a history of picking brand names, domain names, with keywords in the URL. He did contrast that with my first company, Pepperjam, which was sort of this obscure name that really worked. But I have gone on to found referlocal.com with local in there, and most recently LSEO.com with SEO in there. And his question is, should we, when we're picking out a brand for a new business, make sure that that name is in the URL? This is a good question. I don't have a silver bullet. I actually like the idea of picking an obscure name, to be honest with you, but it's much more costly to build that brand. And probably more often than not, the coolness of the name you come up with will be cooler to you than it will be to other people. The way that I came up with Pepperjam was that I had no intention of calling the digital marketing company and affiliate network known as Pepperjam. I was actually searching for a name, and my accountant at that time said, why are you searching? This name is awesome. This name is unforgettable. So if you could come up with something that's unforgettable, if you could do that and you could build a brand around it, that's awesome. So I'd encourage you to do that. Now, more strategically, right? So I think this is sort of a baited SEO question. In years past, having the actual keyword that you want to rank for in the domain was perceived as a sort of high value thing. If you were able to get the keyword in the domain, you had a better chance of ranking for that keyword. The search algorithms have become more sophisticated since those earlier days, or even in the sort of last 5 years. So it's not cause and effect. If you have the keyword in the domain, it doesn't guarantee you're going to rank for that keyword. But here's what I will say. There's a difference between a domain that you pay $20 for or $10 for on GoDaddy and what I would call a premium domain. LSEO.com, in my opinion, would be perceived as the default authority on local search engine optimization. When I originally identified that there was a seller of that domain, he wanted over $50,000 for that domain. That's premium. I ended up paying 5 figures for it, but was able to negotiate it down considerably. I still, to this moment, believe that you're the default leader when you're able to secure a domain like that. And so having LSEO.com has given me that sort of ability to stand up and speak at conferences, and people look at it and say, oh my gosh, these guys are probably, the market leader. So it's really up to you. I think brand, how does the brand make you feel? What does the brand represent? Those are more important questions than what the actual name of the brand is. I could tell you that with Pepperjam, the actual defining features of that brand weren't the obscure name of it. It was the high energy, the intensity, the black, the very, sort of, I don't want to say high end, but it had this feel of precision and dominance. So that's how we thought of that brand. And some of the brands since then, I've tried to do the same thing. Think about how the brand makes the person feel. So Johnny, you're the man. Thanks for the question, fellow Penn Stater. You're the man, Big Ten champions. Second question, my man Derek Sailors, book recommendations for a new social media hire. I'm sure there's a lot of you guys out there that are trying to hire in-house social media people, or you're an agency owner and you're trying to build out that division of your team. I know how it feels. I've done that. We have both the social media manager for my companies. We also offer that as a service to our customers. So This is a good question. You asked me for book recommendations, so I had the advantage of thinking about this for 10 minutes, but the answers kind of rolled right off my tongue. Why? Because they're required reading for my own team. First book, Delivering Happiness by Tony Hsieh. Tony is the founder of Zappos. Tony was really one of the first ones that I've ever read that talks about this idea of focusing on adding value as a customer experience by creating a raving fan, a wow type of experience for your customers. So in social media, you live and die by how you treat people. Social media, in my second book recommendation, which is Gary Vaynerchuk's Jab, 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 Right Hook, really goes into this idea of giving value, giving value, giving value, giving value, giving value, and then finally ask for something in return. But most people in social media get it all wrong, which is they ask you for a kiss before you even go on your first date. That's not how it works in social media. So both Tony's book on Delivering Happiness, which really focuses on optimizing the customer experience, how they interact with your brand, and then Gary's book on Jab, 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 Right Hook, this idea of giving more value, both of those will absolutely speak to your new social media hire. And then thirdly, and this will come up in a future question in a couple minutes, one of my favorite books of all time. This book will make you more money than any book you've read before it. The name of the book is called The Ultimate Sales Machine by Chet Holmes. As it relates to social media, the reason why I want you to have your team read this is because he talks about this concept of a best buyer. Think about how important it is when your social media presence interacts with an influencer or interacts with a prospective desirable customer. Chet talks about how careful you need to be when interacting with those quote unquote best buyers. So Derek, thank you for your question. Let's see, next question comes from Allie. Allie Ray asks about where do I learn so much about investing, or where can she or others interested in investing go, and where are the resources? Here's the thing. I'm going to tell you what you need to do. You need to know from A to Z, you need to know with absolute confidence the difference between a profit and loss statement, a balance sheet, and a cash flow statement. You need to know what I mean and truly understand what I mean when I say there's a difference between financial reporting and financial analyzing. So, you have to be able to see into the future. What do the numbers tell you about how your company is performing? Those three sort of financial instruments, both the P&L statement, balance sheet, and the cash flow statement, by owning those and self-educating on those or taking courses on those, will give you everything you need to know about the fundamentals of investing. And then there's a treasure trove of resources out there on the web and books written on that topic. So I won't go into that. So let's see. But you did say, Chris, well, drop some wisdom on business books that you've read that have made a difference in your career. Very easy. One of the most influential books I've ever read in my life on business is The Lean Startup by Eric Ries. The primary reason is because most people start up a business wrong. They try to build every feature into whatever application or business that they're in, when in fact what you're better off doing is using the fundamentals of what's called a lean model of marketing or manufacturing or development, and he calls that a minimally viable product model. So I recommend Eric's book, and guess who comes back into this conversation? One of the best business books of all time, Chet Holmes, Ultimate Sales Machine. These books are slightly dated, but if you want to be inspired by some of the greatest business books of all time, anything by Jim Collins. Good to Great, Built to Last. These are books that you want to be able to have conversations with other successful business leaders. You have to. They're kind of required reading. But he talks about a lot of both the the difficulty of building a great business, and then what happens just through time if you don't continue to innovate. So some really good stuff. And how can I even purport to have any wisdom in business without Tony Robbins? Tony Robbins came into my life when I was a teenager. He has a ton of products. He has best-selling books. I would recommend to you as a great first step into entrepreneurship or business to either listen to his Personal Power or his Get the Edge tapes. Both will certainly inspire you to become the best that you could become. Also, if you get the opportunity to go to a live event, he has a starter event called Unleash the Power Within, where on night 1 you actually walk on a hotbed of coals. Crazy, right? I've done that 7 times, and I've been to 17 Tony Robbins live events. And I've sent, over all these years, close to 30 of the Pepper Jam, Refer Local, LSEO team to those events to help them change their life. And then finally, you asked me about marketing books. The Tipping Point by Malcolm Gladwell, Blue Ocean Strategy. Go ahead and check that one out. Imagine instead of trying to identify others that are succeeding in a particular business and competing against them, what about creating your own blue ocean? Some cool stuff. There's also, Harvard has done a bunch of research on the impact of just changing your mindset into a blue ocean mindset. So Harvard Business Review and others have put some really sort of like research-based content out there on how powerful it is to think like the Blue Ocean Strategy suggests. And then finally on marketing, there's a ton, but I wanted to share a book on sort of the viral loop, because I think with my background in digital and mobile, you need to be building businesses that have a viral loop. So my recommendation is a book I read about 2 years ago now, could have been 3, called Contagious by Jonah Berger. All right, I only have time for one more question. I want to thank those of you that participated in asking me the questions. I intend to do 100 of these videos. Today is episode 5 of Ask Me Anything. I need your participation. I want to be able to I want to be able to have a conversation with you, thanks to Facebook's live technology, but I need your participation. The final question is from Beverly Johnson, and she made me really think through this one. She said, is it important to have good leadership skills to become a successful entrepreneur? One would think that it's required, but one thing I learned through business success is that you're only as good as your team. You're not as good as just yourself. So for starters, if you're thinking about starting a business, try to find a co-founder. Try to find someone who could complement you. And if you don't have strong leadership skills, which by the way, they may or may not come over time, they're more likely to come, but just so you don't feel the pressure, find someone who's got strong leadership skills and bring them in as your business partner. My business partner from Pepper Jam was a guy by the name of Mike Jones. Mike Jones had skills that I would kill for. His operational skills, his ability to stay committed and get people excited about things, really complemented my ability to build business, so the fundamentals, the acumen around actually how to do this and how to scale a business. My ability to public speak and my ability to get people really, really excited about the things that we were working on. And then since then, I've worked with people like Chris Nash, I've worked with people like Luke Matthews, people like Jonathan Rundquist. I've had the honor of working with my wife. All of Robin Jones, these people are compliments to me. There isn't a ton of headbutting going on. These are people who complement my strengths. So that said, leadership is not required to be an exceptional entrepreneur, as long as you're willing to build a team that complements whatever your weaknesses are. In fact, that's one of the secrets of building a great company. So with that said, I want to thank you guys one last time. Have a great week. I'm going to Hope to get another video in here by the end of the week, although I will be traveling out of town. I'll be on the West Coast, and then I'll be in New York City this weekend. I hope to see you guys soon. Thank you for your participation. See you in episode 6.